your YouTube channel could be more important than your website. This is not me talking. This is as a result of the YouTube trend report that came out not too long ago. And what I find really interesting about that is that for so long we have been using our website as our main digital real estate that we own, right? And that tends to be like how we represent our brand, where we send traffic, how we can control the different pages. A lot of times that's where we have our lead magnets housed and we tell our stories. And it's basically the home base for everything related to our personal brand, our company, whatever it is that you do and or represent. And so what I find very interesting about that statement is that what we've known for decades with our websites being like the core of what we need to have, right? So it's like you must have a website. All of that has changed and it will continue to change. Now, I know within the last few years, and this isn't in the trend report, but over the last few years, what we've noticed is that there's more and more people who aren't using their website, right? So they might be using a platform like Kajabi or Thinkific or one of those, or ClickFunnels, any one of those, where they're using those platforms for everything, right? So those may or may not continue to exist, but there is going to be a transition from websites to YouTube channels, and YouTube channels are going to become even more important than your website. So, in order to prepare yourself for that, right, you can't just stop one day using your website and then the next day have 100,000 subscribers and like 100 videos and all kinds of engagement, already be monetizing your videos the next day. It's something that you do need to plan for, and you need to start sooner than later, because chances are you don't want to be a YouTuber, right? If you're watching this and you've been following my content on my channel for a long time, you'll know that I work with women who are either coaches, consultants, business owners, entrepreneurs. They are wanting to have a platform where they can get their brand and their voice and who they're trying to impact in a bigger way, all done through YouTube and their YouTube channels. So if that is something that you have been considering and wanting to do, really take into consideration where your time. Hi, thank you so much for joining. Let me know where you're joining from. Thank you for being here too. I appreciate it. I'm talking about some of the changes that YouTube has announced with their trend report. And so I was just talking about how there's going to be a transition from using your website as your main stomping grounds, like as your main home base, your digital real estate. And over the next few years, we're going to see a transition from the most important place to go on your website being your YouTube channel. So your YouTube channel is going to be even more important than your website. And so I find that really interesting because we've known for so long that our website has been our number one go-to platform, right? And how we send people to learn about who we are, what we offer, customer testimonials, and all of those things. So now that is going to kind of be pushed behind your YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel is going to become your most important digital real estate. And so you can't just all of a sudden say, I'm going to ditch my website and now I'm going to start a YouTube channel. It takes time, right? Because not only from you as a creation and building your brand standpoint, but also from your clients and your prospects and getting them used to where you're creating your content and where you're housing that content, right? So it's just something to keep in mind that if you don't already have a YouTube channel, it's something that needs to be thought about sooner than later if you want to tap into that trend and be where your ideal clients are already looking and will be looking for even more so into the future. So does that surprise you? If you're watching live, let me know if that surprises you about that transition from going from website being your most important place or platform and your YouTube channel now surpassing that. Yeah, it definitely is, right? So one of the things that Neil Mohan, he's the president of YouTube, He's been talking about in different podcast interviews. I'm going to do a video here over the next couple weeks on it because there's different clips that I need to pull from different resources and to create the video. But he's been talking a lot about the different changes and ways that people are going to be using YouTube moving forward. So as we know it, you create videos regardless of your platform. Let me know, or regardless of your industry. Let me know too if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay. Let me know what industry you're in, or if you already have a YouTube channel and you're posting videos because I'm interested. I think there's going to be a lot more people who are going to be jumping into YouTube if they haven't already, or if they have a channel, they're going to be using it differently because there's so many more features and enhancements that they're rolling out this year. But if you haven't seen the Nielsen ratings over the last 4 months, might be 5 months now, YouTube, the main platform, not YouTube TV, YouTube, the main platform, is #1 in live streaming. Yes, it's above Netflix, it's above Disney, it's above Paramount, it's above all of the other live streaming platforms. And what I find really interesting is if you take the percentage of Netflix and Disney and combine those two, it's the same percentage as YouTube. So that tells you right there that people are already watching videos and they're consuming their content on YouTube instead of going to these other platforms. And they're not just going there to watch a video, they're binge watching their videos on their TVs. So TV is becoming an increasing platform where more and more people are consuming their YouTube videos and just content in general. I don't have one. I am 12. I'm sorry, I don't have my glasses on. I need to keep putting my glasses on. Oh, okay. When you're 12. Okay. So if you are thinking about having some place to create content, like if you've been creating content right now and posting it on YouTube and just kind of using it as like a Dropbox or a Google Drive where it becomes like a repository, which the reason why I mentioned that is I've been having conversations with people recently over the last probably 3 or 4 weeks, and they've been saying that, well, I've got a YouTube channel, but I'm just using it to kind of like, house my videos. There's so much more opportunity there for what you can do with your videos. And so what I was getting to is that more and more people are watching videos on your TV. They're binge watching videos from the same creators. So if you're creating one video and you've got similar videos and they're intertwined, based on content and then how you construct and then how you refer people to that next video, essentially in that sequence, it's going to be, it's going to help them watch more of your content. So the bingeability of your content is increasing. And so if you've seen any of the content I've been posting recently too, I've talked about YesFlix. And YesFlix is my new initiative, and it's essentially taking Netflix and then making like a Netflix for business, but it's being housed on YouTube. And so the reason why I'm doing that is because I'm preparing myself and my clients who want to get on board with this early on because nobody else is doing this, but essentially creating those binge-worthy videos that are essentially not just educational, because business videos tend to typically be educational, but they can also be edutainment, right? So educational and entertaining. And so you've likely heard that term before. So you're combining the educational, but you're making it interesting and entertaining, which is going to not only draw people to you, making you the magnet, but then also getting those individuals to watch more of your content because they're engaged in what you're doing and how you're doing it and what you're saying and then how you're saying it. So creating your videos in a way that's going to not just educate, but you're creating the videos so that they want to watch more of your content, right? And so that's part of the overall YouTube strategy. And so I just thought that was really interesting with the YouTube report. So here's one thing directly from the report that I do want to mention is that it says at this scale, so it's talking about the global population using YouTube for entertainment, information, and even ambiance daily. So just kind of like ocean sounds in the background while they're working, or that sort of thing. Um, that at this scale, YouTube isn't just shaping entertainment, it's defining it. So not only are the things that they've been doing in the past with, creating the different channels and allowing you to have playlists and doing YouTube shorts and community posts, all the different types, the different levels of monetization and what you can and can't do. But they've also been rolling out new features that are allowing us as creators to have even more flexibility and leverage, our creativity and tap into that more on a platform that rewards you for the content that you are creating. And so that's one of the major benefits of YouTube over all the other platforms, especially the social media platforms like LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram, where you're essentially creating content constantly because it doesn't last long in the feed. You can spend hours creating a post on Instagram thinking that, oh, okay, this is the piece that, a lot of people are going to see and like and engage with. The vanity metrics, which essentially don't matter, but I get it. It's something that tells you that it's at least working and it's getting out to the individuals who need to see it. But the amount of time that it stays like live or active, it's like 24 hours, maybe 48 hours. On Facebook, it's less. You've got like 4 to 6 hours. So when you think of how much time and effort you put into creating a piece of content that is going to be valuable to your ideal customers and needing to really help them either overcome an obstacle or, go from point A to point B, and just really helping them getting to where they ultimately where they need to be. It's frustrating when you know that I'm going to create this content, it's great, and then it goes and it does its thing in the algorithm, and then it essentially just dies, right? But when you create something on YouTube, you're creating it for the long haul. And if you've let me know if you're watching live or if you're watching the replay, if you've experienced this, which I'm confident you have. If you've ever done a search on YouTube, you have done a search and there is, search results. And you're like, why am I seeing this video from 7 years ago? Right? Why am I seeing this? I've seen videos that say like from 11 years ago. I've seen videos from like 3 years ago. In fact, I've got videos that I created in 2022, 2023 YouTube shorts that are still getting views and still getting questions, in particular on green screens, where people are saying like, how did you do that? I can't find this. But there's other videos too of mine that I created in 2022 and 2023 that are still getting views. They're still getting comments. I'm still getting leads. And it's a great example of how when you create a piece of content for YouTube, not the other platforms, but for YouTube, in a way that is going to last beyond today or the next 24, 48 hours. Now, if you're in an industry or you create content that's breaking news, or it's like in the moment, or you only talk about the latest technology or trends in your industry, then that type of content is not going to have as long of a shelf life, just because of the time frame in which you're creating it and then what it's for, right? So if something is breaking news today, it's not going to be breaking news 2 months from now. Someone might go back and refer to it, but you're going to get those quick hits and people engaging in your content early, versus something like a lot of us create, which is called evergreen content, that has a longer shelf life. So you create something today and it lasts for 2 months, 6 months, 12 months, 3 years, down the line. And so that's the type of content that is going to help you not only build your brand and build your business, but also gives you a platform where your voice lasts. And it allows you to reach a much larger audience on a bigger platform for a longer amount of time. And so that becomes really important when you start thinking about, especially as you get older, like me, where you're like, okay, do I really want to spend all of my time tied to a screen? Now, if you're a LinkedIn trainer, you help other people like C-suite executives use LinkedIn effectively to communicate, network. Obviously, LinkedIn is going to be your main platform, but YouTube is where people are looking for how-to type content for LinkedIn, right? So if they go to LinkedIn, there's too many people talking about LinkedIn because that's the platform. But if you're like my friend Brenda Miller on LinkedIn and she creates content on YouTube that helps people find her, but then also content that she can use on LinkedIn when people have questions, she's great at integrating those two things together. Same thing applies if you're on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook or any of the other platforms. YouTube is the place where you can help people who are looking for that information. They're probably not going to the individual platforms. They're probably going to on on YouTube go for like, how to create a Facebook group. Because if you go to Facebook and type in how do I create a Facebook group, you're going to get a list of companies and names. You're not going to get the information that you need. So people are going to YouTube for that type of information. So even if you're on Facebook and you have a Facebook group, or maybe you train other people on how to most effectively use Facebook, you need to be on YouTube as well, right? Or else you're missing out. Here's what I promise you. People are already out there looking for your whatever it is that you do, whatever problem you solve in whatever industry you're in. Even if you think your industry is like super niche, I guarantee you that people are already out there looking for information. In fact, you can go to YouTube or Google or go to a tool like Ubersuggest where you get 3 or 5 free searches a day. And if you want more than that, you have to go up to a paid account. But for free, you go to Ubersuggest, and if you type in keywords, it's going to pull back the active information that people are already searching for. And so not only is that helpful for you to validate the information and the industry that you're in is there and people are looking for it, but it also gives you content ideas and content ideas that you can use for YouTube, but you can also use those content ideas for all the other platforms too. So when it comes to YouTube, and you're looking at where should I invest time? If you're on one of the other platforms, the social media platforms, and that's where you're planning on staying, great. But I wouldn't say set up camp and stay there forever and not consider YouTube, because it's a completely different platform and a completely different resource, and a platform where you can invest, not spend, but invest your time into creating something that's going to last longer. And so that's the piece that when people are just like, I'm going to push YouTube off until Q4. Oh, it's not a priority for me this year. I'm like, really? Like, I know that I specialize in YouTube, but I don't understand that mindset, because to me, it's just like you're missing out on a huge piece of opportunity. And so looking at how much time or effort needs to go into creating the content is not as much as what people believe it needs to be. In fact, what YouTube recommends for content and whatever the most frequent or the recommended upload schedule should be is that they only recommend 1 a week. In fact, if you want to do 1 every other week or 2 videos a month, that's all you need to do. And if you want to do that math, let's just say 2 videos a month, because that's realistic for all of us, right? No matter how busy your schedule is. If you did 2 8 to 10 minute videos, we'll just say 2 10-minute videos a month, right? It's not going to take that long to plan it, to record it. You can outsource it, have somebody edit it, which you don't need to do that much editing on videos today anyway. But have somebody else edit it, publish it, you're good to go. If you do those 2 a month, we got 12 months, that's 24 videos in a month, right? So 240 minutes of content. Now, if you were to do that same sort of thing on any of the other platforms and only post 24 pieces of content on LinkedIn, for example, if you do I don't think you're really supposed to do 1 every other day or 1 every day. So that would be set. We'll just say 3 a week, right? So 3 to 24, you would need 8 weeks. That would only last for 8 weeks if you did it in that way. The problem with that is, the good thing is that you can accomplish the same thing. The problem with that is that those 8 posts are not going to have a long shelf life. So yeah, you can accomplish the same thing, but they're not going to last as long. So now not only have you created those 24 pieces of content that aren't going to last long, now you have to continue creating that content for that platform forever. There's no end in sight. There's no like rule on any of these other platforms, the social media platforms, that hey, thanks for saying hi, thanks for being here live. I appreciate it. I'm just talking about YouTube and the social media platforms and just some of the differences of why to invest time on YouTube and not spend all of your time on social media. And just the reason being mostly is just shelf life. So investing the time and looking at, how much time and effort you're putting into being the hamster on the content wheel. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to focus more on YouTube, not just because of all the value and all of the benefits of being on there, but also from the standpoint of like, I've been on all the social platforms since they launched, back in 2008, 2009, whichever, whenever they came out. So it's exhausting when, everybody's doing the same thing and it's just like you constantly have to be putting out content. And so there's no end in sight, right? There's no rule that says, okay, if you're on LinkedIn, once you've posted, X number of pieces of content or for 3 months, you can take time off. Like you are posting to be posting like forever if you want to stay relevant, if you want to continue to help your clients, if you want to continue to have a business, right? So factoring in those different pieces is something that is really important as a business owner, as a coach, as a consultant, as an entrepreneur, whatever your role is, that when you think beyond the social media, which is super easy, anybody can do it. And now you got AI doing a lot of the work for you, right? Unless you're on video, because that's the only thing right now that you can be duplicated. So I want to make sure I mention that. I'm aware you as a person can be cloned with AI. It's not recommended. In fact, YouTube is putting a squash on that now. And really, those channels that have just really built up their channels with AI and monetized it, they're now getting demonetized because YouTube wants to reward authenticity. They want to reward humans. They want to reward people who are investing in themselves and the platform itself. So there's a lot of different pieces to factor in here when you're thinking of, whether you should or shouldn't be investing time and effort into creating content on YouTube. And because YouTube is the number one live streaming platform above Netflix, above Paramount, above Disney, all the platforms, it should not be disregarded. And this isn't me talking. This is third-party research talking. Go look up on Google and do Nielsen. What are we in, July? Do June 2025 live streaming stats, and it'll pull up the report. It's got the graph right there. And you can pull it up and see for yourself, like where it's ranked. And it goes back for the last, I think it's like 4 or 5 months in a row now where YouTube has been number one. And so it's not something to ignore. YouTube's not going away. YouTube is going to become more important than your website in the next few years. Not me talking. That's the YouTube Trends report. It's also Neil Mohan, the president and CEO of YouTube, talking. These are things from other people. I'm just here to communicate it. And so it's all about, looking at how you can leverage what is available to you. And so, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. It's all about looking at, how you can tap into something that it just continues to build and continue to provide resources to the creators, right? So YouTube is the only platform that I'm aware of where they don't keep taking things away from creators. They're like, hey, how can we give more things to the creators? And the reason being is that YouTube's business model is they make money from you just creating content, right? So you create a video, they can place ads on it. Whether you get monetized or not, they get paid for it. So they've created a model where it works. It's a win-win for everybody. And so the tools and the resources that they continue to come out with, like one of the most recent ones is if you're a multilingual business where one of the reasons why you didn't start YouTube was because you're like, I need to have videos in different languages. And you're like, I don't have time for that. So in the past, if you wanted to have your video content in different languages, you had to create different channels, one for each language. So that's a lot of work. Even if you had some type of automatic software that was automatically dubbing it for you in the different languages, you still had to upload them to individual channels. One of the things that YouTube did this year, well, between Q4 and now, I'm not sure when they rolled it out. I think it's still in beta. They haven't rolled it out to everybody, is to roll out the dubbing for one video. So you only need to have one channel now. And so that's a great example of how they're like, how can we make our creators, the people who are making the content for the platform, how can we make it better, more interesting, take it to the next level, keep them here, keep them creating, and help them continue to keep making money? And so one of the things I thought was really interesting too is that in the YouTube trend report, they had said, let me go back up here. I think it was 70. Yeah. So the YouTube Partner Program, which is the program where YouTube pays you as a creator when you can place your ads in your videos, which you can apply for and get approved by them. You have to have 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 public watch hours within a rolling 365-day period. So once you're in that program, then you can place ads in your YouTube videos as long as they're 8 minutes long. So they have a minimum, duration requirement, and it's 8 minutes. So keeping that in mind, the payout that they had between 2021 and 2023, they paid out more than $70 billion to creators. That's billion with a B. That's a lot of money in just that. It could be 2 to 3 year time frame, 21, 22, 23. So we'll say 3-year time frame. $70 billion through that program. I mean, that's a lot of money. Now, what I want you to do is, if you're live, if you're watching the replay, what I want you to do is tell me how much money you're making on your social media platforms from the platform itself. How much money are you making from LinkedIn? 0. How much are you making from Facebook? 0. How much are you making from Instagram? You might be making money on Instagram now if you're using the selling shop features, which I haven't kept up on that. So I know that they offer it. I don't know what the requirements are. I don't know if it's available to everybody. But you might be able to make some money on there, but I'm assuming that they have, like, you have to have 10,000 followers or, something. Which is, again, there's a requirement on YouTube as well. But the point of that is that if you're going to invest time in creating something, don't you at least want to have the opportunity to get paid, right? Especially if you're building a business. It's hard enough to find your dream clients and get them to say yes to you, and then also be on platforms where it's just exhausting, right? You feel like you're constantly just cranking out the content. And so this is just a way for you to, look at how to be different, right? So you could probably you could definitely go and look on YouTube, do a search for whatever it is that you do. In fact, let me know in the comments if you're alive, what is it that you do? And then type it into YouTube and see what type of content comes up. There's going to be at least a few creators who are already creating content based on what you do. And so with that said, if there's people already creating it, then why aren't you, right? So that you're missing out on that piece of the pie, right? So if you're only spending time on social media, you're missing the YouTube piece of that. Hi, thank you for being here. Appreciate it. YouTube agent. Nice. Yeah, I'm actually talking about all things YouTube, from the YouTube trend report, and then also some updates from Neil Mohan in the different podcast interviews that I've seen him in recently on other people's videos. And so there's been a lot of great updates that he's been sharing, mostly from a creator standpoint, and just looking at how media consumption today is changing. And so even with YouTube, a lot of people think that most viewers of YouTube videos are either watching them on their phones, YouTube Shorts especially, or they're watching them on their desktop. And so one of the most interesting things is that more and more people are watching YouTube content, videos, not YouTube TV, but YouTube videos and YouTube shorts on TV screens. And what I thought was really interesting, it was about, I don't know, probably within the last 2 months, I was speaking at a local event and I wanted to show the statistics to show the impact of having content that's still being used within or viewed within the last 48 hours. And so what was really interesting is that there's a report. You can go into your dashboard on YouTube, and there's a spot in there where it says live, and it's showing the numbers constantly changing because it's showing you alive within the last 48 hours, the number of views that you've been getting on your videos. And then it will also show you those videos that are getting the views. And so I was just like, you know what, that's going to be really interesting because I can paint the picture, right? That people are still watching these videos even today in the most up-to-date moment. And then just look at what those videos are. So I pulled it that morning, and I thought this was interesting is that my top 3 videos were all YouTube shorts. What's interesting about that, 2 things actually, because usually they're videos, but they happen to be YouTube shorts. And so 2 things that were interesting about that is that all 3 of those YouTube shorts were from 2023. We're in 2025. YouTube shorts, I didn't even think they had that long of a shelf life. But they were YouTube shorts where I was talking about green screens, how to use them, giving examples, that sort of thing. So I was like, okay, people might be looking for that sort of thing right now. Makes sense. So it means don't rule out YouTube shorts having a longer shelf life. The second thing that I thought was really interesting about that is that when I looked at, and I just happened to look, I wasn't like actively looking for it, but I was going through the information and I noticed that the top platform that these YouTube shorts were being viewed on was the TV. I'm like, what? Like I've seen TV on the stats before. I don't believe it was on YouTube shorts. I don't remember that level of detail, but it was so interesting that the YouTube shorts vertical videos were being viewed on a long form screen. And I was just like, that's really interesting. So one of the things that Neil Mohan has said, and then also in the YouTube trend report, is that more and more people are watching YouTube shorts on TV as well. And so a lot of times, you might come home and instead of pulling up Netflix or something, you pull up YouTube, sit back on your couch, grab a glass of wine, grab a beer, whatever it is. And you just sit there and you're like, all right, I'm going to watch some YouTube videos. And so that's what people are doing. And I thought that was really interesting because that's not what we typically think of when it comes to YouTube, right? So that was all of these things are just kind of pulling together, and the whole binge worthiness of YouTube and how you watch one video after another video after another video, a lot of times from the same creators, is one of the reasons why I created YesFlix. And so it's one of those things that it's completely new. I don't see anybody else doing it. If somebody is doing it, I just haven't seen it. Like I did some research. I'm like, I don't see anybody doing this. But it's one of those things that I'm like, I know there's going to be some future opportunities for this. And, I'm going to be on the early part of that. So I'm creating TV series and essentially being the video production company behind it, but creating scripts and essentially having businesses create the type of binge-worthy content that people or consumers are craving. And what we typically would get from like a Netflix, where you go on and you binge watch different shows, the same type of content is what I'm helping my clients create. In fact, my series launches on Saturday. And I'm super excited because it's just a lot of creativity goes into it. And so for me, it's been a lot of fun. And it's just, it's really interesting because it's not only episodic, it's going to help with the binge watching, people who just want more and more information, but it's planning out the storyline, which essentially is like taking your ideal clients through the customer journey, but you're doing it in like a 10-step process and then developing a script around it based on what they're already telling themselves and how you can help them overcome it and then how you can help them take the next step. So the purpose isn't just to be creating the videos, but it's also to create the lead magnets, get those individuals onto your email list. And so that's built into the scripts. And then there's also a lead magnet that will be available to download as well. So that's what YesFlex is, and what I'm helping other individuals create so that they can be completely different, stand out, go above the noise. It's not going to be something that blends in. It's going to capture people's attention. It's going to be engaging. And it's really interesting, and I can't wait to get it out into the world. So if that's something that you've been thinking about, you might have, thought about it yourself, like, wouldn't it be really cool if I could turn my business into a TV show? That's essentially what this is. So it's going to be a lot of fun, and I anticipate in the next year it's just going to just blow up. So it's one of those things that if you're interested, let me know. Otherwise, just subscribe to my channel and watch and see what happens, because this is the channel where I'm going to be posting the videos, and I'm excited about it. The first one goes out on Saturday, and because I don't have a channel with 100,000 subscribers on it, because I was asking around, YouTube and ChatGPT, what the recommendation is. So they're not going to all be released at the same time, because of the size of my channel. I'm going to do 2 a week is like the max, just because I need to have the algorithm understand the type of content and just make sure that it's getting out in front of the right people. So first one goes out Saturday, and then the second one will go out Wednesday of next week, and then I'll just continue with that schedule. So by the end of, it's not the end of August, it'll be like the very first part of September, all 10 episodes will be out. So if you're interested in that, definitely subscribe, turn on the bell notifications if you're not used to seeing my content, just so that you can see it in your notifications. And then you can just click on it there and just go watch the videos. But that's going to be the schedule. It's going to be fun. It's completely different. It's going to be engaging. It's going to be interesting, and I'm excited to share it with you guys. So I'm curious if you've got questions about YouTube. If you're just like, hey, where is YouTube headed? If you're like, I'm tired of being on social media, just kind of want to be like, blah, kind of move on. Or if you're just like, I want to make the transition, I want to be on social media and then also add YouTube, with the intention maybe later on you just want to go all in on YouTube, because you just do 1 video a week, then that's all you need. So you don't have to feel like you're tied to your screen. So if that's something that you want to escape, that is something that you can do more easily with YouTube than you can any of the social media platforms. So I'm always open to having a conversation about that. Just let me know. Leave a comment here on the video that you want to, discuss working together to help you with your YouTube channel, your YouTube content, attract, you are the magnet for attracting your ideal clients. I would love to help you with that. So just let me know, drop it in the comments, and we can take it from there. If you're not ready, that's fine too. Just subscribe, and I would love to have any comments or engagement that you can have on my videos. If you find that it's been valuable or useful to you at all, I would love to know that too. Be sure to like it, subscribe, and leave comments. And if you think somebody might find this valuable or helpful, share it with them. I would love to know that too. All right. Thank you for being here live. For those of you who were, I appreciate it. If you're watching the replay, thank you so much just for investing the time in this video. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye for now.